Bim 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 bam, yai da 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 bim bam, bim 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 bam, bim 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 bam. Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat 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 shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat 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 shalom, Shabbat 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 shalom, Shabbat 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 shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat 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 shalom. Bim bam bim 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 bam, bim 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 bam, yai da 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 bim bam, bim 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 bam, bim 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 bam.
Good Shabbos, everyone. Nice. We thought maybe we'd have like a minion today, and look how many people wanted to come and enjoy, come out of the cold or the mugginess, whatever. Whether you're online, joining us for services, or in person, let's introduce ourselves to one another and find some maybe we're sitting near. Say good Shabbos, make sure we know our community as we come together.
Hine ma tovu manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Shevet achim gam yachad.
How good it is that people can come together, can dwell together in peace. The words Cantor sang, Hine ma tovu manayim. Because in the craziness of our world and what we experience in the news and all the anxiousness it causes, we can still be a community. We can come together and feel some peace and feel some calm. It's interesting, when we open up the Torah this week, we find ourselves reading from Parashat Korach. Korach, of course, leads a rebellion with Datan and Aviram and their followers, and they yell at Moses and they say, who made you the only one who gets to talk to God? Who made you so important? We're holy. We're just as holy. Why can't we be the leaders? And they cause a revolt. And so Moses goes to God and is like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Because that's how Moses, when he talks to God, they have a very intimate relationship. And God says, tell them, bring their fire pans, their incense to, this place that I'll set out tomorrow, and set up this duel, in a sense. So Moses says, look, we'll all bring our incense, our fire pans up to this altar tomorrow, this place, and whoever, that God accepts will be the leader for the people of Israel. And so they agree to this, and they come back the next day, and they put up their offerings, and the earth goes opens up, swallows them all up whole, fire bursts forth, and Datan, Aviram, Korach, they're all killed. So, and that's that. Shabbat shalom. So, right, sorry. It's a challenging, people like to do that with certain people these days, but that would not be appropriate. But the idea is, what was so bad that Korach did? I mean, why would God act this way? Why would the earth open up and swallow up this people, this group of people? What was, like, we should be able to disagree. Like, disagreement is a part, we're Jews. It's pretty natural that we're going to disagree on a lot of different things. And that debate is beautiful. It's part of what we have. The rabbis say that for a disagreement that is between people, that is for the sake of Shemayim, for the sake of heaven, that's good. But when it's not, when it's about ego and stuff, well, and they say, well, what's about ego? And they talk about Korach. Right? They talk about this story here in Torah. That's such a violation, in a sense, of what we should do and how we should behave. But here's the amazing thing. One of the great philosophers of the 20th century in Israel, Leibowitz, taught that what made this sin so egregious, this disagreement so egregious of Korach, was he said, we are holy. Now, that shouldn't be a problem, right? Saying we are holy. But he said, we right now are holy. In Judaism, the belief is that we want to be holy. We work towards being holy. We don't just inherently become that. We work towards that. We move to that. In the holiness code in Leviticus, God says, you shall be holy, for I, the Lord, your God, am holy. Holiness is an ongoing pursuit. So as we begin our Shabbos worship tonight, as we begin our time together, what I ask is, think about holiness. Think about how you've worked towards making yourself holy. We're always trying to better ourselves, better our world. Shabbat is a moment to pause and think, to reflect, to notice. So you can even close your eyes. Take a deep breath in through your nose, out through your mouth. Breathe in God's gift to each and every one of us. Breathe out our gift to this world. Think of what holiness can be. We recognize in our lives what that means for us. Maybe it's something different for each and every one of us and how we spent this time. Shabbat is to be a way to look back on the week. Think of each of the days. What do we do to move ourselves towards holiness? And I might argue that one of the greatest gifts that we have and that we can share is that gift of kindness. The more kindness we share, the more kindness we do, the more holiness we bring into our world, the more goodness we make a part of our everyday. So think of that as well. How have you made that holiness, that kindness a part of who you are?
I will build this world from love. Yadadai, yadai, yadadai, and you must build this world from love. Yadadai, yadai, yadadai, and if we build this world from love, yadadai, yadai, yadadai, then God will build this world from love. Yadadai, yadai, yadadai, olam chesed, olam chesed yibaneh. Yadadai, yadai, yadai.
So as we come together as a community, so can we join in our prayers? Being a CAYA service, of course, we don't necessarily use the prayer book, though you're welcome to open it up and turn to page 16 if you'd like. But we sing the prayers, we join together, we hum the tunes, we just enjoy this time of Shabbat. So for our call to worship, we rise if we're able, and we join together with Cantor.
Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Yalalai, lai, lai. 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 Barechu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Le'olam va'ed. Yalalai, lai, lai. 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 Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Please be seated.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
As we join together in prayers, it's so interesting in trying to find what the meanings are. And some of us need that written word and like to find the depth within there as well. Because we find that as we just sing a prayer or say a prayer, our minds wander. Squirrel? It's me. I know. You know, the ancients tell us that the prayer book is really to be like going to a museum. And, you know, each of us goes to a museum and sees different things. And the piece of artwork that you like might not be the one that I like, and you spend a lot of time in front of that piece of artwork and dissect it and notice intricacies of it, and I may gloss right over it and it doesn't appeal to me. But the next piece of artwork might totally resonate with me, and I stay there for a long time and engrossed in it while you walk right past it. Our prayers, in a sense, do the same. Certain prayers resonate differently with us. Certain ideas connect with each of us on a different level. But the Hashkivenu, this one prayer, I think, is a sense of universality for all of us as well. Maybe it's the melody that we love that's a part of it, that is so much a part of our culture and Shir Shalom. Or maybe it's that it talks about the realities of life. That we never know what tomorrow brings. The ideas of the challenges we face in our world and the anxiousness that it can cause. So that this idea that we only can hold on to hope that tomorrow can be like today or maybe even better. That we say, let us lie down in peace, God, and permit us to wake up in the security of knowing we're safe and we're loved. Be a shield around us. Keep enemies, disease, violence, homelessness, hunger far away from those we love. It's pretty universal for all of us to want that, to hold on to that, to find meaning in that. This idea of what we need in our lives, what we need in our world, in the midst of that which is unsteady. But that reality that 2022, 5782, I'm sure if we were hanging out with people in the 15th century, they would have a lot to complain about as well. But the beauty of our tradition is they sang the same prayer too. They asked for the same things for the next day, the next hopes. And they passed on a tradition to us in so doing. And for me, that's the beauty that we have that holds on and carries us and continues to give us hope. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'ha'amidenu malkeinu l'chaim ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha.
ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום ועמיתנו מלכנו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום ועמיתנו מלכנו שלומך לחיים ושלום מעתה ועד עולם. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום ועמיתנו מלכנו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום ועמיתנו מלכנו לחיים. ושמור צאתנו ובואנו לחיים ושלום מעתה ועד עולם. מעתה ועד עולם. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום ועמיתנו מלכנו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום ועמיתנו מלכנו לחיים.
And so as we continue with our prayers, so we get to think within. So we get to take a moment for ourselves. And rather than just reading something in this moment or even hearing a rabbi share some thoughts, listen to poetry and music. Remind ourselves of how we climb into these moments of introspection, how we find meaning on Shabbat. This one day we have in the midst of the hecticness of our week, that it gives us a chance to reflect. The poem that we sing, that our friend Dan Nichols, of course, put to music, is that reminder of, yes, the craziness in our world, the hecticness, the busyness of the everyday, and that when we notice Shabbat, we give ourselves this gift. We recognize what just pausing for a moment can do. Maybe it even entails putting a cell phone away, not looking at our texts, and just relaxing and soaking in the beauty of our own breath, our own being, our own life. to notice even in times that might frustrate us, the blessings that are there, the blessings that each of us has, the connections we feel to one another, connections we have to memory, those who have honored and blessed us and given us values, blessings we have in our lives as well.
Has blown the marketplace away. There is a song on the wind and joy in the trees. Shabbat has arrived in the world, scattering the song in the silence of the night. And eternity utters a day, and eternity utters a day. Blown the marketplace away. There is a song on the wind. There is a song on the wind, and joy in the trees, and joy in the tree. Shabbat has arrived. Shabbat has arrived in the world, scattering the song in the silence of the night. Scattering the song in the silence of the night. Eternity utters a day, and eternity utters a day. תפתח ופי יגיד תהילתך. Eternal God, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your glory. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avoteinu ve'imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Leah Elohei Rachel Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor V'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim V'Konei HaKol V'Zocher Chastei Avot Ve'imahot U'Mevi Geula Livnei B'neihem Lema'an Shemo B'Yahava Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen Baruch Baruch Ata Adonai, Magen Avraham, Ve'ezrat Sarah. Ata Gibor Leolam Adonai, Mechaye HaKol Ata, Rav Lehoshia, Morid Hatal, Mechalkel Chayim Bechesed, Mechaye HaKol, Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Verofe Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Kayem Emunato, Nishenei Afar, Micha Mochabal Gevurot, Umiedom Melach, Melech Memit, Chaye, Matzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman ata lahachayot hakol, Baruch ata Adonai, Mechaye hakol. Ata kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, U'kdoshim b'chol yom, Yahalelucha selah. Baruch ata Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
As Torah is always a part of our lives, especially on Shabbat, as we learn from it, study it so to remind ourselves how Torah is a part of strength and hope as we think of those in need of healing at this time. And so we join in our prayers of Mishiberach, thinking of friends and family in our congregation, touching the Torah, connecting with it, and adding to our prayers that sense of strength and hope we want. Mishiberach Avatenu Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov v'imu Teneshar Kol Avrachel. Hu Yivarech et Cholim, merciful God, has blessed our ancestors Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Leah, and Rachel. Send your blessings to our loved ones who are stricken with illness and anxiety, friends and family we think of at this time. Elisayoto and Alan Edelberg, Amy Drysdale Atler, Shannon Bacon, Mickey Berg, Doreen Billett, Michael Brody, Karen Kasman, Patty Seresny, Stephen Chadwick, Megan Dox, Brett Eisen, Michael Eisen, Adama Epima, Elisheva Batsara, Barbara Esrig, Richard Finkel, Richard Gotro, Ken Golos, Nancy Golos, Batya Besha Penina, Andrew Halo, Ava Haber-Kornholm, Ty Hall, Hank Heiser, Ann Horn, Marilyn Hostetter, Chuck Kessler, Serafina Coffrin, Sarah Bat-Miriam, Karen Coltono, Rick Kornspan, Marta Lazar, Henry Leopold, Libby McIntyre, Zoe Marcus, Joyce Mazza, Teresa Miji, Allison Mertzman, Tony Michaels, Marlene Miller, Marianne Min, Gail Mintz, Lev Herschel Ben Bat Ami, Linda Newman, Rabbi Robert Ozenchuk, Rezel Bat Leah Miriam, Elisheva Bat Avram Bachana, Susan Perlman, Melanie Pohl, Joanne Reed, Rachel Mibet Chaim Bachava, Marcy Fisher Reiners, Julie Robinson, St. Amman family, Bernard Sklar, Roberta Sanino, Barbara Storm, Leo Tosto, Dale Wingard, Connie Wahlberg, all those battling the coronavirus, 32,455 American troops who've been injured in Iraq and the surrounding areas of Date, and all names in our hearts. We say, Baruch Atah Adonai Rapha Cholim, bless you, God, and give strength to those in need.
Help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. מקור הברכה לאבותינו. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו
The Kaddish may be understood as a praise for the gift of life, love, and thought. A reminder of all that came before us, a testament to psalmists and sages, the poets and prophets of our people who made our life and our faith possible. The celebration of our past, our present, and our future, and though it never mentions death, it's a reminder of all the friendships we've cherished and the memories we have shared. Even in the most painful times, the Kaddish is our statement of faith. It's time when our prayers, our thoughts turn to those taken from our midst in this past week and month whose Shoshim we mark, friends and family of our congregation. Jane Jacobs, Rita Seidman, David Foster, Bonnie Rosenberg, Vicky Buckfire, Matthew Van Every, Marilyn Hertzberg, Judith Names Dolson, Bernie Lublin, Andrea Jaros, Larry Traeger, linking their names to the 4,586 Americans of our armed forces who were killed in Iraq and the surrounding areas to date, and those who have lost their lives in the war in Ukraine, and the 1,017,269 Americans who have lost their lives to the coronavirus. And linking their names to names whose yortzites we mark on the Shabbat, those whose anniversary of passing we lovingly commemorate. Abraham Adelson, Molly Alpert, Esther Berkowitz, Mo Bershad, Zelda Blackman, David Buckfire, Charles Cohen, Lois Finn, Uladar Freund, Abe Friedman, Pearl Harold, Earl Simon Hortis, Gerald Kinerick, Eileen Carson, Frida Klein, Carol Jo Lasser, Albert Lenser, Michael Allen Myers, Craig Newman, Judith Owen Stern, Samuel Rosenthal, Sam Rothfeder, Rose Ginsburg Sherman, Bernard Sloan, Sidney Stern, Florence Wagner, David Weinstein, Ellie Wiesel, Elaine Wolf, Loretta Ziegelman. And linking their names to all the names that we did not recite on this Shabbat, those of every family, every faith, those whose lives have touched ours, as well as those of no one to stand and say Kaddish for them. So do we join together in the immortal words of the Mourner's Kaddish as found on page 46 of our prayer books. Yikadal v'yikadash shemei Rabbah v'alma divrach chirate v'almich malchute b'chayach chon uvyomeh chon uchayeh d'chol beit Yisrael b'agala ubizman kariv imru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach olam amaya yit barach v'yishabach v'yit pa'ar v'yit roman v'yit naseh v'nadar v'naleh v'nalal shmei d'kudusha b'richu v'elam minko birchata v'shirata tush b'chata v'nechamata datmeram v'yama v'imru. Amen. Yehei shlomo Rabbah min shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'yakol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'yakol Yisrael v'imru. A source of peace, and peace to those who mourn, comfort to those who are bereaved, here and everywhere. And let us say, Amen.
Oseh shalom b'mramav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru.
Imru. Amen.
Ya'aseh shalom,
Ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu v'yakol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu
ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
Good Shabbos, everyone.
Shabbos, Rabbi.
So, one nice announcement to share on July 16th as a Shabbat program. We have an opportunity. We've been invited by Gerhard Nodell, the artist who created the tapestry in the window and the Ner Tamid, to his studio in Pontiac, I think at 11:30. And so we haven't published the address, but if you want to come and be a part of that, it's an intimate group who will get to go, so it'll be first come, first serve. And it'll be a special late morning, afternoon. We're going to do lunch in Pontiac, and then his studio is amazing, and how he's creating things and the new things. But there's an exhibit going on. He's featured in the Flint Museum of Art right now. And so he's willing to take anyone up to Flint afterwards as well if you want, or another time too. He's a mensch. So that's sort of a cool thing. But we're going to start with his studio, and if you're interested in going, you can register online or call the temple office. So, a moment of Tish before we conclude our services. It's nice to be together and have so many of you here. We won in person today. There's more of us in the sanctuary than there are online. Always a good sign. Yeah. Not that we're competitive, and I'm glad you're online too. Don't get me wrong, but it's just nice to be together. So it's good, it feels good, and I know we do that for a lot of reasons. So, yes. You have 20 people at home watching. Well, okay, so you just doubled the numbers then. There were 26 online at one point I saw, so. It's strange, having a computer up here, but it's nice that we're communicating with folks. I should check and see if any questions on Tish as well. So, right. They're watching a large screen there. This is true. Hence, well, I don't have to boost our numbers, all is well. So, but I don't see them commenting or logged on. You sure they're not blowing services off? Just kidding. So, anyway, any questions you may have? Yes, Linda. Some stayed behind. I don't know if any actually, they say some were reticent initially, but after the 10th plague, they jumped on board and came with Moses, I believe, as well. So no, what happened, more than that, some Egyptians ended up coming with the Israelites and left with us. It's interesting when we talk about and look at the traditional world and the castigation against intermarriage, which really became a modern thing, Talmudic on. But in the Torah, well, there are a number of tribes or peoples you can't intermarry with, but there are a number of non-Israelites that you can. And obviously it was happening. Now, certain things were linked to idolatry, like the Canaanites, so that's why they were off limits, right? But others they saw, Moses was married to a Cushite, who's someone from Ethiopia. So, that's why in 2 weeks ago in Torah portion, Moses' brother and sister got upset with him. It says they complained, God, why do you only speak to Moses? What about us? Aren't we important, And they castigate Moses, but they also criticize him for marrying a Cushite. They were being just a tad racist, I think. And so ironically, what happens to Miriam as a punishment? Her arm is covered in white scales and leprosy. So, she yells at Moses for marrying a black woman, and she's covered in white. So, sort of a fascinating thing. Yes, Ms. Siegelman. Well, I can't answer that definitively, though I think it's an American creation in a sense. The Nazis actually, if you read, I just forgot her name. I'm tired. But Caste, the Origins of Our Discontent. Thank you. By Isabel Wilkerson, that won all the awards last year, or came out in the summer of 2020. Amazing. And she talks about how the racial purity laws of the Nazi Reich in 1933 and on were based on the laws of America in post-Jim Crow. And so what was created in this country to separate. And the whole fabrication of what race is as well. And so I think the idea of white is very much a part of something that was Christian in this country that became, a sense of entitlement and purity as well. So, which we're seeing with some of the laws that, looking at America as being a Christian nation, that we should follow some traditional Christian values, though ironically, Christianity doesn't agree on things like freedom of choice or reproductive rights, and Judaism does. Because you look at Judaism, and even Orthodox agrees that life begins with breath, right? Or graduation from medical school, depending on which parent you ask. But the idea of what it really, there's an amazing story in the Talmud that they look at the manumission laws from the book of Exodus. And in the book of Exodus, that's the manumission laws are where it says eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, right? If two people get in a fight and someone, that's all about just compensation. It's not that I poke out your eye or I kill you because you killed it. It's not that way. It's just compensation that they're lining up. And in the story, two men get in a fight. They ask a question, and one is thrown to a woman who's pregnant, and she loses the pregnancy. He must pay for her injuries and the loss of the pregnancy. Then it goes on, and if they kill someone, then it's a life for a life. So it's different. There's a monetary compensation that occurs if a pregnancy is lost, as opposed to if someone dies. And that's where the whole concept in Judaism, if the woman dies, the whole concept in Judaism is that the woman's life takes priority. A woman's health is the most important value, and that a fetus isn't a life, right? That it's something precious, but it's not until it can exist on its own in Judaism do you recognize that as a life as well. And so, with that in mind. Yes, Ken. But But were they called white and black then? I don't think it was white supremacy in a sense, or the white superiority. It would seem as, but it wasn't white. It was Christian Europeans. I think. I don't think white. The idea of because she was saying white man in a sense in that. Now I'm not sure, but my understanding in European sovereignty and superiority and how they looked at things too. Well. Let's go to something positive. Let's go to something. As I saw, I'm blessed to get to go to Israel in a couple days to go be with our teens who are there. And, Rabbi Daniel will hand the baton to me, and I'll take the kids to the finish line and bring them back home in 2 weeks. And he'll be here with you next week. And so you'll get to enjoy that here about Israel as we look at the news and the tumult in Israel as the government's been dissolved and there's a new election for November 1st and what that means as well. Though I like Yair Lapid, who's the temporary prime minister, and appreciate his policies as well. But with that in mind, let us rise as we join together in the blessing of the wine.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Amen. L'chaim and nesiah tova.
Thank you. And we say,
Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. We give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
Te'avon. We started something during the pandemic that we can't really pass the chal around, but now maybe we're more comfortable, and if you want, you can attack Ken and get it. But we call it the chal lottery. That he said he's got 20 people at home watching it, so he can bring a challah to them too. We give thanks for our blessings as we join together.
Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha.
May God bless you. May God protect you.
Yair Adonai panav elecha v'choneka.
May God's light shine upon you and shine through you.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yisim lecha shalom.
May God always be a part of who we are, giving us all of our gifts, giving us all of our blessings, giving us our hope as well, and blessing us with shalom, with peace. Amen.
Amen. V'yisim lecha shalom. Shabbat shalom.
Good Shabbos, everyone.
Good Shabbos, everyone.